I'm Danny, that witch next door, and you're listening to That Witch Podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to That Witch Podcast. I'm Danny. I'm That Witch Next Door, your host, your guide, your mentor in all things magic, witchcraft, and astrology. And joining me today is the amazing Ashley of StarSeedShadows for an amazing, very shadowy shadow chats today.
Hello, everybody.
Pisces New Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Deep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first word that comes to mind for me.
What'd you say?
What comes to mind for you? Deep.
Deep. Oh my God. Escapism, watery energy. Oh my goodness. It's so funny that you say that. So right now, I am doing a lot of work on archetypes, and I was called to rewatch that show Once Upon a Time. If you remember it.
I love that show.
So I'm in season 3 right now, and Peter Pan. It's all about Peter Pan.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I was literally watching it before we sat down to record this, and I was like, Peter Pan is a Pisces. Right?
That's deep.
Totally. Peter Pan is like the epitome of Piscean energy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That forever child.
Forever
never
child,
grow up.
Wanting to
the shadow.
Escape,
Holy cow.
Peter Pan's a Pisces.
That is amazing.
It's crazy. So, you know, when you ask what's the first word that comes to my mind, Neverland. That was the first word that came to my mind.
Oh my God. Yeah. This is already such a good episode.
I know.
Yes.
I know.
That, first of all, I love that show, and that just reignited that for me. I'm totally going to rewatch. I have watched that show so many times. I'm totally going to rewatch it. I
only saw it once and I never finished it. And we're talking like when it was on actual TV. So much of it is like fresh.
I
cool.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I got much. There's one episode. I quit in the middle of a season 2 and I've never finished it. I always finish out season 3. It's 4 or 5 that I don't make it through. I can't remember.
There must be something going on in 4 or 5 that is unappealing, because I feel like that's where I fell through too. Somewhere I'm
gonna at least just rewatch the first 3 seasons again.
Right, at least the first 3, because the Peter Pan season is great.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Oh, I love that. Peter Pan is a Pisces, everybody.
Peter Pan is a Pisces.
First, Ash, do you have any Pisces placements? What's your relationship and experience been and currently is with Pisces energy?
My midheaven is in Pisces.
Yeah. I remember that.
Mm-hmm. So it's like literally destined to be involved in this very mystical type of world and spirituality and the unknown and darkness and all of that jazz. And I mean, that's been my life. You know, as I said before, I've always been quite drawn to the weird shit, you know, and, you know, I'm 32. So when I was talking about astral projection, nobody even knew what that was, you know? So like just always
totally
really,
know what you mean.
literally really, really drawn to the weird shit. Pisces energy also can exemplify addictive behaviors and that escapism and all of that. And, you know, teens into 20s, lots of partying and having a lot of fun, which nothing is wrong with that, but definitely heavily leaning in towards this Pisces midheaven in the sense, I'll tell you how I'm connecting these dots. You know, I spent 10 plus years in food service, 10 plus years in bartending and serving. And anybody who has had a lot of experience in that understands the party lifestyle that is, the escapism lifestyle that is. And I had done it so long, I had initially pursued my master's to do it for life, midheaven and Pisces. And at that moment, during my Saturn return, was when Spirit was like, oh, no, not that way. Go that way. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of ended up leaning more towards mysticism and spirituality versus this other aspect of Pisces that we get too. So that's how having a Pisces midheaven has really kind of shown up in my life. And now it's settled. It's settled into what I currently do now. And I think I'm doing a good job at showing up for my Pisces midheaven. So.
Oh, hell yeah. That's a very on point placement. That's one that you hear as an astrologer and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I relate so much to that story in my own parallel with my 8th house ruled by Pisces, with my moon there. I have, and we've talked about this on the show. This is not the first time. Like, that is the shadow side that I experienced, was that escapism. And it started as this way of connecting with other people and like letting inhibitions down to be able to just connect with other people, and totally losing myself in the escapism of substance. Like totally. Totally.
Just getting caught up in this world. It's wild sometimes.
It's easy to like get lost.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's the Pisces energy. The card of Neptune and Pisces is Hanged Man, and that surrender. And there's this, and that's the duality of it, because or that fine line almost, if you will, because exactly now I'm at a point in my life where I am still embracing and leaning into my Pisces energy, but now it's in this spiritual, in my psychic abilities, and my occult knowledge, like that side of my 8th house. And it's in a much more rooted in reality way, I guess.
That's a great way to put it. I am still stuck on the Hanged Man. I totally forgot for a second that card is Neptune and Pisces. And I find that so fascinating.
Me too.
You know, just because the Hanged Man is like so much about surrendering to the moment, allowing it to happen. But I suppose when you look at the polarity in the zodiac wheel, that makes sense too. Oh, my mind is like spinning with so many different thoughts right now around that. It's
when I first discovered that, it was the Neptune retrograde of 2020. That was the first time that I learned about that card association, and it just hit.
That's rocking.
And I did this super, as always when you work with Neptune, super intense bath ritual meditation that's just like, oh my God. It's like one of the most intense meditations I've ever had. That's just what happens when you invite Neptune into
come play, right?
Yeah, exactly. And especially in the water. Are you kidding me? Yeah, it was. And that, like, I kept that as my phone wallpaper for so long. Like, Hanged Man really helps me trust the process.
Definitely trust the process.
Trust walking in the dark sometimes.
Right.
Honestly.
But there's also, exactly, both of those, because there's also, though, this thin line with Piscean energy where we trust too much. And then, like you said, we're gone. We're in Neverland.
Yes.
We're trusting too much in exactly what's happening, and we're not rooted. And I feel like that line is so thin. And all the birth charts that I've read, which is a lot, and I'm sure you can relate to this, the motherfuckers with heavy Pisces placements have dealt with some severe issues around addiction.
Always. Pretty much always. Like, honestly. And if you think it's not, then you're looking at a different form of addiction. You have some preconceived, but there's an attachment issue somewhere. I promise.
There's an attachment issue somewhere.
Yes.
And it's so fascinating because it's like there is this energy when you work with Pisces about surrendering, Hanged Man, like stop having so much control over situations, letting it go, being okay with being in the present. It's all fine today. And then in like a second, it can totally flip and you've gone too far down the rabbit hole. You don't know what's happening and you have lost all grasp of reality. And I feel like, you know, humans out there with such heavy Piscean placements, that is one of their soul missions almost, to kind of figure that out. How can we navigate this line? Because we have so much to learn from these people as well. But they have so much to learn from within as well.
Absolutely.
I hope I'm making sense. Yeah.
You make complete sense. One of the biggest things I tell clients with heavy Pisces placements is, and this comes from a place of understanding, and you will understand this too, Midheaven.
Big one,
listen, that the Pisces knowing is this beautiful gift and a burden. And that's where a lot of addiction and escapism comes from, is this, we get excited when we hear like, oh, you're special and you have these special psychic abilities and knowledge and gifts. And that's a heavy burden that you bear. And I think that's what gives this energy to me, is almost like holographic, something that it looks different depending on the angle that you know what I'm talking about. Like that's what Pisces is to me. Like depends on how you're kind of
almost like a
chameleon.
Shifting.
Yes, exactly. So this sparked, I am very excited to ask about this. So this sparked some good questions. So we've got some interesting Pisces transits coming up this year and in the next couple of years that I would love to pick your brain about, because these have been coming up in some client sessions. Number one,
love it.
I want to first start with Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces this year. Can you kind of give us like, what can we expect? You are such a Jupiter baby.
Yes.
I would love to hear from you about that.
So, there's two sides to every coin. Okay. Of course, I'm going to lean into the good stuff, because I mean, this transit is what we make it. This Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So, actually, I'm going to talk about the shady stuff first. Neptune, whenever we're working with Neptune likes to make things a little foggy, a little watery. We might not see as clear as we need to. And let's not forget, Jupiter's all about expansion and making things bigger, and they are colliding in Pisces. So this is really going to depend on what's going on in your life. That's what's really going to happen. If you aren't seeing certain relationships, certain behaviors, habits, addictions, if you aren't seeing certain things clearly, you're not handling your money well, you're not getting your car oil changed, you're not paying attention to what's going on with your kid, all this sort of stuff, that's probably going to be exasperated, if that's the right word. That's probably going to make it bigger. As in, your blind spot could potentially get bigger, because we're dealing with some powerhouses in such a watery sign. So my advice to anybody out there, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. Get your shit together. Plain and simple. Get all your ducks in order, because we're going to be dealing with that transit for a little bit. And again, our blind spot in our lives does have the potential to get bigger. Now, on the other side of that coin, we are dealing with such mystical energy. We're dealing with such intuitive energy. We're dealing with such watery energy, getting really down to like the root of our emotions and why we feel. Lilith work wouldn't be the worst thing to do around this time.
Ooh, I'm going to make a note to link your Lilith.
Your
Lilith workshop.
Find out, where Lilith is in reference to those aspects as well, or that transit. Again, Jupiter makes things bigger. So there's this light around compassion, around your intuitive abilities, around, if you guys are client workers out there, around pulling in and working with more clients and all of that. Again, Jupiter is the planet of abundance. Jupiter in Pisces is about abundance. So we have this potential to make our lives more rich, right? And I mean, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and fucking financially as well, right? By leaning into what we are already doing. Same advice though, get your shit together. Get all your ducks in a row. What is it that you want to call in as we get ready for this transit? It's a big boy, and it's what we want to make it. If you guys do spell work, do some spell work around getting some money. Do some spell work on attracting soulmate clients. Do some spell work around that. Lean into your spiritual practice. And Spirit will tell you where you need to be at. Like Spirit will intuitively tell you, work more on your self-healing. Work more on water witch stuff. Like Spirit will let you know where you kind of need to be. Just continue that practice on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
It's exciting.
It really, really is. And this is the kind of transit, specifically Jupiter and Pisces, and this combination, this conjunction with Neptune. This is a really excellent time for people that have been feeling creatively or spiritually blocked.
Yeah.
If you have really been wanting to open up your crown chakra, your third eye, like, this is a great time to tap into that Peter Pan energy.
Peter
God,
Pan.
I love that.
Isn't
Inner
it so
child
great?
work can kind of set you free in that way. It can really unlock your spiritual abilities. Like for me, that helps. That hanged man energy. It helps me like trust and surrender a little bit when you tap into, because as kids, we knew magic.
Right. We did.
I didn't question that.
We did.
I didn't question that at all. I was one of the most firm and longtime believers of magic. Like, I was this kid in high school that, like, deep down inside, I've always been this way. I don't think I've ever shared this on this show. I don't know if I've ever told you this.
I love some tea.
So number one, I believed in Santa Claus for a long time. Did we talk about this?
No.
And okay, I believed in Santa for way too long.
How long,
granted,
tell us how long.
Get ready. Granted, my mom really went above and beyond. But even with my friends telling me, straight up telling me, Santa is not real. Santa still comes to your house. I didn't find out until I was in 6th grade, till I was 12.
Baby girl. That is the most precious Pisces moon shit ever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And so I found this out, but one of the ways that like magic literally never died for me, and this still, I'm exactly the same to this day. And I don't care. You can't make me not, because I'm too superstitious. But I still won't like throw toys across the room. So like my daughter's dolls and like stuffed animals and stuff like that. I've told a couple Pisces placement clients this, so you might be smiling to yourself, because as I remind people, you can't be a bigger dork and nerd and magic lover than me. So don't worry, because I still can't like throw her animals and stuff across the room. I'm always like, it's probably not real, but just in case it is real.
I love that.
I might as well. Yeah. And I have just always had this underlying trust in spirit, in the ether, and I think that's how it's represented. Yes, exactly.
That's for sure.
Exactly.
Speaking of trust, I love this aspect about Pisces that is just so compassionate.
Yes.
You know, that just undying trust in the process, in the person. It almost kills them, though, because that's half the reason why they have all these escapism issues.
Yep.
Because
and the attachment issues.
The attachment issues, because they just want to rely that everything's going to be okay. It's really, really fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And another thing I wanted to know.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, about that Jupiter and Neptune conjunction. That whole thing definitely has the potential, when it comes to the Pisces energy, to expand issues we already have. And that is to say, like addictions, things we're trying to quit, you know, like you just started your workout routine. You may want to fall off during that time, you know? So if you guys are going strong, we're going strong, and certain things we're trying to kick, or habits we're trying to be in, that energy does have the potential to throw us off kilter a little bit. Because again, with Neptune, we don't see as clearly, and Jupiter loves to make things bigger. So that's just kind of something to watch out for as we move towards that. If you guys are like, we're all doing great, everything's fantastic, keep that same energy and make sure that you don't even give yourself a day or 2 days or 3 days, or I'll do it tomorrow. Watch that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really good advice. That's very, very good insight.
Yeah.
So there has been a little, I don't know what you'd call it, topic, theme that has kind of come up for me recently. A little connection that I've made that I want to ask you about. So we know that by the time everyone's hearing this, the Pisces moon's on March 2nd. So we just had the US Pluto return. And Saturn will be moving into Pisces in the next couple of years. And for some reason, these two transits keep connecting to me. Every time I keep connecting the Pluto return, and a couple of years later, Saturn moving into Pisces. It feels very much like a next move. And obviously they all are, right?
Yeah.
All of this happens in the order it's supposed to. I would love to hear from you because I have so many amazing clients that have their Saturn return in Pisces coming up. But also on a collective level, I would like to hear from you about what Saturn and Pisces is going to look like, because this is kind of an oxymoron placement. Saturn being restriction, Pisces being let go. So I would love your insight for them, for all of those lovely Saturn and Pisces. All of you know who you are. I have so many Saturn and Pisces.
Do you?
Clients.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I have my 8th house in Pisces.
Right. So they're all just flocking to you.
Yes. So it's awesome.
Sense.
But I would love another insight on this.
I mean, the way my brain works and the way my channeling works in general, it works in imagery, right? So like as soon as you started talking about Saturn entering Pisces, the first thing I saw was like literally Saturn like holding its breath. And it's for me, the way I interpret this is as Saturn enters Pisces, there's an energy of Saturn becoming more restricted almost, because Saturn wants control. So it's almost kind of like when you're walking your dog and on the leash and the dog tries to like run away the other way, and the instinct is to pull the dog back. That's Saturn's instinct when Saturn enters Pisces. Like, hold on, wait a second. We don't do this. This isn't how we function. So I feel like there's going to be almost heavier energy, at least for the first year that Saturn is in Pisces, around more restriction, more control, trying to keep Pisces tame. Pisces doesn't do that. Pisces energy tends to act out a bit more in the face of restraint or control. Pisces also can be a little passive as well and be like, I don't know what's happening over there. I'm going to let Saturn have a fit. I'm going to be over here kind of looking at the stars. You know, the Saturn and Pisces people, they may kind of have a rough go of it their first year, trying to figure out balance between wants and needs, and between love and vampires, and between figuring themselves out and figuring out the people that they love and care about. Because again, they have that bleeding heart aspect of them. So themes that have been consistent in their lives are probably going to take front and center. I do, however, feel like, you know, once we get to the second year of Saturn in Pisces, Saturn might come down a little bit. You know, I'd have to really look at that chart for that next couple of years to see what Saturn is doing, what aspects are being made. But overall, it does feel like Saturn eventually will kind of calm down. You know, when Saturn was in Capricorn, it was quite rough for a lot of us that were dealing with it. And I feel like Saturn's almost taking a breath in Aquarius. Because, you know, Aquarius wants to do its own thing, but Aquarius is fixed. Aquarius is in the act of building. You know, they can get it together. Yeah. And then when Saturn enters Pisces, Saturn is like, fuck. You know, we're kind of doing this again. So I wouldn't be surprised in general if there were lots of themes around balance is the word I'm thinking about. And dominance is the word that just came through too. And maybe even Pisces energy kind of finding a voice. Because Pisces doesn't want to be dominant, you know? Pisces doesn't even want to be there. Pisces wants to transcend. So looking at how that's going to manifest in the lives of the people that are gearing up for their Saturn return is going to be fascinating, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So what kind of keeps coming through for me too, especially post Pluto return in Capricorn, and honestly, just post Pluto and Capricorn and all of the aspects that Pluto has made in Capricorn. I feel like this Saturn and Pisces generation is a massive part of a big collective catalyst.
I could totally see that.
Really breaking down some of our traditional Saturnian themes.
Right.
Like
giving
really,
Saturn a facelift that Saturn never asked for.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why it may be a little rough in the
Pisces is
beginning.
going to challenge Saturn.
Mhm.
Think of the child asking why to the frustrated parent.
Right.
But why? But why do we have to do it this way?
Yeah.
But why?
Right.
Why do we have to work 40 hours a week?
Mhm.
Why is it 9 to 5? Why do we only get 2 days a week to ourselves? Why do these people make what they make and why do we struggle? That's what I see.
I see it.
A lot of
which is why Saturn is holding his breath.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
A lot of that internal conflict that those Saturn and Pisces babies are going to feel, it's for a reason, so that you start to exert that frustration and exert that discomfort.
Right.
Because I think it's part of a big shift. I think it's a big, big catalyst of it's time to start questioning some of these things.
Right. I mean, it makes total sense based on where we've been going as a collective and on the astrological placements as over the last 10 years or so.
Yes.
It makes sense that Saturn kind of gets in on this action as well.
Right. And with Pluto digging up the dirt that's going to inevitably continue being resurfaced after this return with Capricorn themes.
Yeah.
Who rules Capricorn, everyone?
Oh
Saturn.
Yeah.
Like this is that I think that's why they're so connected for me, but I'm
going to stay in my lane, girlfriend.
Correct.
this
like
whole
this
Pluto
is
stuff. Oh,
you make sure you have your shit right. That's because a lot's gonna be surfaced, everyone. So I hope you've been being real.
Yeah.
I hope you've been facing your skeletons in the closet.
Right.
I'm serious because they're coming out.
Yeah, it's true. That's what Pluto is known for.
Oh,
Pluto loves
absolutely.
it. Pluto gets like high off of like dumping out people's skeletons. That's why I liked your Joker
reference.
Isn't it great?
I like
Pluto
that
loves it.
It is in some morbid and dark ways and still out of love and compassion for your higher good, right? It's still for your higher good as any other celestial body, but it's dark the way that it happens.
Yeah. And it's definitely going to be happening on more of a collective level for sure. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. You know, I don't pay too much attention to politics and I'm unapologetic about that. And I'm very unapologetic about it, but I probably will be paying a bit closer attention this year, in the next year, probably, you know, because as we both have been saying, this is a slow creep. Pluto moves slow as hell. Yeah. It's not like there's going to be this explosive thing happening with our government, but we will be seeing some things that may catch us off guard a little bit when it comes to law and politics and how our systems have been put in place. And I'm going to say that's going to affect the world as it's affecting the U.S. It's going to affect the world. So,
absolutely.
We will see. We will see. I'm intrigued by the next couple of years.
Too.
Yeah,
I am too. I think all of us, and there's many of us, Pluto and Scorpios, have this quiet calmness.
I'm a Pluto and Scorpio too. Yeah. Yeah. There's many of us. There is a quiet calm about it, and that's probably because.
There's something we get, I feel like. Exactly. I'm like, there's something that we just, So. And Pluto and Scorpio knows, and same with actually Pluto and Capricorn knows maybe what to say because it's both signs, energy are very honest, but they know when to be quiet. I will say that. Capricorn and Scorpio, especially Pluto in both of those signs, know when to just be observing.
Exactly.
I like I'm going to be staying in my own lane.
Staying in my lane, dude. Staying in my lane. Me think of. Yeah. It's going to be over here at my little desk, just creating stuff while the whole world goes to shit.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know anything about the Zuckerberg. I don't know the meta. I don't know what's going on. I'm just creating my stuff.
Yep, exactly. Just creating my own little corner of the world over here. And that's what I'm going to keep doing. Right. And that's what we do in the neighborhood here. So,
God, that sounded so Piscean.
I know, right? Especially after Neverland.
That sounded so Piscean. Jeez.
That's amazing. All right. So my last question really is to help everyone kind of understand this Pisces new moon and how they can kind of apply some of these themes in their own life. So, Ash, how would you best advise this surrendering Pisces energy and not losing yourself in the escape?
Oh my God, that's a great question. Well, there's two parts here. Well, there's one big part, self-awareness. The one thing, that Pisces really isn't that good at is self-awareness.
I only laugh at some of the Pisces placements.
Yeah. I know. So, because in order to understand that we can't have control over every single situation, we need to understand that that's what we want. And I'm speaking from a control freak. I'm a first child. I love to control stuff. I have very dominant, very masculine placements. So I get that. And that's been something that I work on all the time, to not, to listen to what somebody else might have to offer to what I'm saying, and to also know that I also don't have to do everything on my own, and I can ask for help and be vulnerable in that way. But in order for us to do that, we need to understand that that's what we want. And then on the other side of the token, in order to not go overboard and let it all go to shit, just let the fire burn or the house burn down, we also need to be self-aware in understanding, hey, am I letting go of the reins too much? And that's in general, whether we've got people listening that are dealing with addiction, whether there's people listening who don't know where this fits, escapism syndrome, bleeding heart, being like an overactive heart chakra, an overgiver. That's a big thing with Pisces energy too, not saving enough for themselves. We have to understand, nobody's going to create these boundaries for us. And that is the biggest thing. We have to do the work. We have to be observers of ourselves. And that's really what it comes down to. And it's a work in progress, and it's something we have to work on daily, and nobody gets it right the first time. But when we stop and take a moment and take a breath and am I acting in accordance with my highest version of self right now? And if the answer is no, we can rewind and reevaluate and then reconvene and continue to go where we're going. But, sometimes in general, so many of us just get caught in this act of just moving and trying to do better next time. But how can we do better right now instead of doing better next time? And Pisces is so fucking lackadaisical. I love the energy, but there's a level of just not giving a fuck about themselves. There's this
it's because they're opposite Virgo. You got to remember.
Exactly. That's exactly. I wanted to lean into the polarity. Yes, exactly. It's because they're opposite Virgo. And, leaning into the polarity a little bit, Virgo, they definitely care about the other, but Virgo has this energy of making sure,
of course,
everything is prim and proper and perfect. And they want to make sure that they are always shining at their highest peak of self.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're the traditional ruler of the sixth house.
Mm-hmm.
Your self-service, how you take care of yourself. That's
exactly.
Absolutely. And that's where exactly their polarity comes in, and why Pisces challenges Virgo and gets Virgo to hey, there's other. It's not just about self.
Exactly.
Other, is here.
And then Virgo also is telling Pisces,
yes,
make sure you're paying attention. Hey, down here.
Yes.
So it's fascinating to watch. And all I can really say is the act of self-awareness really does wonders when we just kind of step outside of ourselves, especially in a moment when we're feeling emotional or when we're feeling triggered, and just hey, how am I acting? What's happening inside of me right now? Kind of doing that check-in to kind of get back to basics,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, that definitely came through for me while you were saying that, how powerful a pause is.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
One of the most profound acts that I practice and teach, truly is the power of the pause.
So good.
If you can, and that alone is
so
building
good.
a habit to know when to pause, and how, because we are not taught, and we really are just this go constantly. And one of the best things that you can do, whether it's a parent to a child, whether it's in a difficult conversation, it's in a moment of challenge within yourself, sometimes just fucking taking 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
We come from this world where we think 5-10 seconds, that's nothing. That's not going to do anything. Have you tried it?
Right.
it really, so much can happen in that reset. And that's, I think, like one of the most powerful pieces of advice for Pisces escapism, because what a moment to be able to reground.
Yeah.
What a moment to be able to like reconnect into your moment, into your body. Like that's what, but by the way, that's what you need to learn how to do, Pisces placements. How, just remember that you operate so well in the dream world.
Yeah.
It's similar to like learning how to lucid dream and astral travel. Like, how do you test that you're in reality? How can you reconnect to your body? How can you feel present physically in this moment? You have to learn tools and techniques to do that.
Right.
Especially in order to, you know, really let go. Again,
I love that.
The Neptune bath. You got to know how to ground when you're going to do, when you're doing deep ass work like that.
Exactly. Especially Neptunian work. You know, Neptune is just, it's a firecracker. It's funny. I read a couple of charts last week and both of them had Neptune in their first house. And I was like, oh, poor babies. And it was fascinating because you don't often see Neptune in the first. And both of them back to back had Neptune in the first. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, my goodness. And, you know, some of the things that they were struggling with was seeing themselves as authorities in their niches, you know, like seeing themselves as like somebody to root for, like seeing themselves as somebody with strength, I should say, you know, connecting with the strength card. And I found that was interesting because, you know, first house deals with self, but they were having such internal struggles as, of course, Neptune would bring that.
Yeah.
So, you know, just kind of an example of how Neptune would manifest inside of the birth chart. You know, it's fascinating just to see how we can. It really depends where we are in our lives, how these planets and how these aspects and how these transits want to manifest or choose to manifest. And it goes back to the fact that we always have the choice. We always have the choice in how this manifests, but we need to be made aware of it. So guys, like get your birth charts done, like study them through and through, because you'll notice things about yourself that you've always known, but you didn't really think this is just how I am. This is just what it is. And I know I'm tangenting a little bit right now, but you know, it's a really good point.
No, it's true.
Yeah. When you understand, okay, I have this placement. This is how this placement has been manifesting in my life. Now that I see it and I understand what it means, now I'm putting together these like puzzle pieces of how it's manifested. Now, how do I want to work with it? How can it manifest in another way? Right. So get your birth charts read.
Seriously.
It's fascinating.
At least start really trying to just understand your own astrology. There really is a reason that it is becoming really trendy. And, you know, it gets watered down when we get trendy. And at the same time, it's because there is so much validation people experience.
So much.
And it's really, really, really powerful to be able to go beyond the I'm just like this, like you were saying. Like I have a Gemini Mars. That's retrograde. That's my, like, I was like, no, I need to know why.
Right.
I need to know and I need to understand why.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, there is so much validation around it. And that's why I think it's just still so crazy that there are some people who are like, oh, well, that's woo, and I don't believe in it. Like, why are hundreds of thousands of people saying such similar things about their experiences when it comes to understanding their birth chart and specific ass placements? You know, it's wild shit. It's wild shit. So, and
how has it never gone away?
Never.
It's like the most
before we had the Hubble, we were doing astrology.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it still won't go away. And there are astronomers that become astrologers. Yeah, so get out of here. Yeah, so crazy. I agree. Yeah. I appreciate this. This was a blessing of an episode. Yeah. This was, I think that some good insight came through for everybody today. Really, really, truly, because This Pisces new moon is a very beginning of some of these big Pisces transits that we're talking about, you know, in a lot of ways can really kind of mark that. So this was amazing. Now, Ash, before we go, what are you up to currently? Where can we find you, follow you, and support you right now?
So you can always find me, follow me, and support me at StarSeedShadows everywhere. You can email me at StarSeedShadows@gmail.com if you need to. It is open enrollment for the Divinity Series, which is my group coaching program, specifically focused in spirituality. You can always book a call and we can talk more about that. So that's where I'm at. The Lightworkers Academy is open. Can't believe I forgot about my baby. It's a school for spiritual people. It's a school for people who are on whatever part or path they are on their spiritual awakening. You know, they've been doing this forever. They just started. Doesn't really matter. The Academy is open and we are ready for you. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I have everything for Ash linked in the show notes if you want to go connect with her. This was amazing. Thank you as always for joining me today. Hey, magical human. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of That Witch podcast. If you want to support the show, the best way to do that is to share with a friend or give a shout out on your social media. You can also leave a 5-star rating and review on both Apple and Spotify. And if you can't get enough of all of our witchy magical content here in the neighborhood, you definitely want to make sure you're subscribed to my email newsletter, That Witch Gazette. It's a really fun, really convenient, one-stop shop to stay up to date on all of the news and happenings here in our neighborhood. If you have any questions, suggestions, ideas for the show, or if you'd like to sponsor an episode, you can send me a message at thatwitchnextdoor.com/conjurethatwitch. Thank you so much. I'll see y'all next time.